Welcome to the 2024 recap of Mr. Supranational. My name is Dani Walker. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this content, please subscribe and also check out memberships for access to exclusive episodes. I want to first start off by saying thank you so much to the Supranational organization for allowing myself to co-commentate on the Queen Beauty Network for this year's competition. That was so exciting. My co-host was Luis Porteles, and we had the best time in Poland together, and so I'm just so thankful for that opportunity. And if you'd like to see our live reactions and commentary, then head over to queenbeauty.tv, and for a limited time you can subscribe to the network with code DANI25. You'll get the first month free and then 25% off for the first year. So I hope that you go and check that out as well, in addition to this recap. This show this year specifically was phenomenal. I was very impressed when I went 2 years ago when the show opened with their version of this West Side Story opening, and there were dancers with the contestants, and we saw something similar this year, but instead it was like this enactment of an engagement, and all of the Mr. contestants were wearing traditional Polish outfits, and Mr. Poland essentially proposed to a dancer on stage. So it was this cute little story, but then there was a live band. The live band came up on risers. There was fire. There was so much energy from the contestants, and especially from the misters that were in that front row. They were just really giving it their all. I was on such a high watching that opening number, and it just kept going throughout the entire show. So this wasn't just a great show for Mr. Pageantry. This was a great show for pageantry in general. For the top 20, there were also some special awards. Colombia went home with the Supermodel Award, South Africa with Supra Chat, and then Philippines won the Social Media Challenge. Now, for the top 20, I really wasn't too surprised by the inclusion or exclusion of any contestants. I feel like it was a really solid top 20. But I do want to give a couple of mentions, though, to Korea, Ecuador, and to Malaysia. Those were 3 contestants that I could have seen in that top 20. I feel like they were a little bit underrated, and I still really liked them on stage though. When I was there live and in person, they were on my edge because I was thinking, I think they might need to stand out a little bit more, give a little bit more energy, but I could have seen them also in a top 20. Next, the contestants were seen in their swimsuits, and this was for the new confidence round. And one thing about Supra that is a little tricky for me to deal with is that they don't do a single or a solo walk for finals. Again, they're coming out in twos. It almost kind of comes across as like a walk-off scenario. You can still see and learn a lot from the contestants, but it just happens so fast. It's a little bit tricky for me. But then we moved into this, what I would say is the peace segment. All of the contestants had peace shirts on, and it was Top Gun themed. It had the Top Gun music. There was a motorcycle on stage. There was fog. The contestants were raised. The outfits looked like they were from the movie. I was just really blown away by that segment. And the other segment I want to mention too is the AI segment. So I appreciate when pageants are trying something new and different, especially if it comes to technology and just how times are changing and how we can keep up. So this was really interesting to see them merge AI and then the pageant. Each of the contestants came out in this colorful suit, but then behind them was a photo, and it was an AI generated photo of them. I feel like some of the contestants, it was really interesting to see their AI images, because some of the AI images I don't think really looked like them, and then there were others where their face wasn't really even in the image. So I was just kind of giggling when I was watching that part of the show for some of the contestants, because I was like, oh gosh, I just feel like their in person or their real photos were stronger than their AI images. But what can you do? It was still a cool idea, and it was fun. Now I really want to get down to that top 10, because I feel like the top 20 to the top 10 cut was really tough. There were more contestants I would have loved to have seen moving forward, but there has to be rounds of elimination. So our top were Vietnam, Venezuela, Laos, Mexico, South Africa, Colombia, Netherlands, Philippines, Poland, and Dominican Republic. Now, for this cut, I also easily could have seen Spain. I was a big fan of him throughout the competition. I personally loved Brazil. I just thought he was so great throughout the competition, very consistent, but I do think there was something. He just needed more energy, more of something on stage. really more of anything. You could have changed the wardrobe, changed the poses. There was just something there that I think could have helped him a little bit more. And I was so sad that Sierra Leone did not make it into a top 10. He was one of my big favorites throughout the entire competition, and I loved him so much. And he was top 3 for the Supra model competition. So he was just so good the entire competition, and I was really, really bummed to not see him there. But I will say, so the top 10 came back out, and this time they were in their suits. So this is like their formal wear competition, and oh my gosh, they looked incredible on stage. And this was just such a classy production. Gosh, the men looked incredible. There were like these gold stars all around them. They were dancing. They literally looked like they were having the time of their life. And then there was this portion where they were all on stage, and like one would dance, and then they'd be like, take it away. And then the other contestant would dance, and then all the guys would be like, your turn. And it went back and forth and back and forth. And I was so impressed, first of all, by the men's dance moves. Second of all, though, by the fact that they were able to stay on beat. That doesn't always happen. These are contestants. They're not professional dancers. And frankly, I don't really expect any of them to have perfect timing or be on beat, but they really did it. They did it. It was fun. But I will say that is where South Africa for me became the winner. So when they announced the top 20, I was already looking at all the men and I was like, South Africa. Like I looked at all of them and I'm like, I think that's the one. But then when I saw him in the top 10, I was like, that he really is my pick now. He's my pick. I haven't even seen him in top 5 and I still love him. There was something different about him. It's pretty much indescribable. When I was there and watching him live, there was like this aura about him, and that's the best way that I could put it into words, is that there was just something that was making him stand out in that top 10, and I loved him. Now, we narrowed down to a top 5 from the 10, and this is different from the Miss competition because the Miss usually have an opportunity to share about why they should be the next Miss Supranational. We skipped that part for the Misters, and I just feel like that's because most of the time men aren't growing up doing pageantry. In fact, I don't even think there is, I don't know if there is youth pageantry for little boys. I don't really know. But since most men don't grow up with that, I do feel like overall questions are a lot easier for Mr. contestants. And in this case, they just cut that section altogether and we go straight to that top 5. One person that I want to mention that I would love to have seen advance into a top 5 was Colombia. I loved him the entire competition, and he was another one, such a tough cut, and I was so sad not to see him make it to the top 5. I wanted to hear from him. I wanted to see more from him. I loved him throughout the whole competition. Congratulations to him regardless, but let's talk about the top 5 answers. So the Misters had 30 seconds to answer this. Drawing from your own experiences so far, what message do you have for any man out there that feels he has not achieved the level of success he wanted to, and he feels like giving up on his dreams? Now, this is one thing that always gets me upset, is when there's no headphones. Even if they're asked the same question, I like the use of headphones because there is an advantage to being able to go first and maybe not having heard anybody's answers, so you're able to think really freely. But then you could say there's an advantage for going last because you have the most time to alter your answer according to what other contestants are saying. And interestingly enough, South Africa was the last to speak on stage. So let's talk about these answers though. Philippines, he says, thank you, Mom and Dad, for raising me to be the man that I am today. I would tell every man, woman, and every person in the world with a soul, you have intrinsic value. If you want to be better, and if you want to progress in your life, give yourself grace and take small steps. We have to start somewhere and build off of that progress. That is the only way to go about it. So let me say this too for all of the men overall. I want to mention, in comparison to the answers that I heard last time when I was at Supranational 2 years ago, I feel like overall these men did a really, really great job. So it wasn't like anybody did anything wrong. It's more of like, okay, but who's really going to bring us something unique and different and pull at our heartstrings or really stand out? So I feel like that was more the determining factor here. But Philippines was so strong the entire competition, and he wasn't just consistent. I feel like he was getting better and better and better throughout the competition. So I love this. I thought he had a great answer. Then we moved on to Venezuela, and he said, I will tell them that 8 months ago, I was a normal guy who takes the bus, who's going to college, who's serving in my church, and now I'm here representing my country and being top 5 in Mr. Supranational. So if you want to achieve your goals and your dreams, then you have to work hard, because every small action is way better than the biggest intention. So this was nice. He shared his personal experience. I like that, the inspirational part of it. And then I also really like that at the end, he wrapped everything up with an every small action is way better than the biggest intention, because so true, so true. I loved that. I love that life advice. Now it was Netherlands. And Netherlands said, I would say to every man, believe in yourself and respect women. Now when he said that part, he really got me listening. He goes on to say, always think about your mother, and if she sees what you're doing within your life, would she be proud of you? Okay. Okay, Mr. Netherlands. And then he says, always be kind and believe in yourself, and your thoughts create your reality. So if you have a negative thought, always make 2 positive thoughts, because the negative thoughts weigh you down and positive thoughts lift you up really much. So please wake up. Even if you don't feel happy, create a smile, even if it's fake. It will do something subconsciously, and be proud of yourself and work hard. More great advice here that's actually backed up by scientific proof. So it's kind of common knowledge, I think, now that even if you're not feeling great about yourself, that our body language positively affects how we feel about ourselves, what we think about ourselves. There's a whole great TED talk about power posing and body language that I've always loved. And it basically says, though, that like even if you're really sad, smile, because it can actually help to change your mood. We're almost kind of fooling ourselves into that. But Netherlands really stuck out with the whole respect women and think about what your mom would think if she was watching your life. And I really loved that. And frankly, he just looks so great on camera, in person, all of it. Yeah, seeing these men up close, it's like, oh my goodness. Wow. All right. Now, Laos said, I would tell everybody, every man in the world, it's okay to fail, because every failure will shape you to be a better person, and failure is the road to success. Never give up, and keep in mind, if you fight for your dream will fight for you. Thank you. So in comparison to everybody else's answers, Laos's answer was quite a bit shorter, and I feel like that really affected his placement. And then you combine that with the answer that itself I think was a bit more generic, and then I really think, okay, well, that's what happened to the placement. But Laos was one of my standouts throughout the competition. He is so handsome, oh my gosh, and he looks so great on stage. And did you know he's a pop star in his country? I wanted to see some more dance moves from him. Anyways, he did great. Now we have South Africa. I don't know what it is about South Africa. Let me just say this quickly. What is it about their onstage answers? Why are they so great at it? Clearly with Miss and Mr. I don't know. It's consistent, and it doesn't even matter what contestant it is. It's like again and again and again, South Africa, and I think India, really does well in an onstage question competition. So here's what he had to say. I will have to say that dreams only expire when we do. And sometimes, if they're strong enough, they live on past you. I'm a dream standing here. My grandmother, who was a maid, wanted to go get higher education. My mother then did it, and now I'm a doctor. So is that not worth waking up and trying? Even if you're 80, even if you're 100, because they will always live on. That is the power of a dream. I don't care, Mr. or Miss, that answer was slam dunk, knocked it out of the park, fantastic. There was personal experience in there. The way he worded the answer, the delivery of the answer. Also, I'll just say, being American, we tend to, many of us, enjoy a South African accent. We think it's quite beautiful. And so just listening to him speak, I was like, oh, wow. And so I just love it. The opening almost started like a quote. I will have to say that dreams only expire when we do. I feel inspired. I feel super inspired. What man who is thinking about giving up on his dreams wouldn't feel inspired by this message? Man or woman, who even cares? Everybody can feel inspired by this one, so he did it. Now let's discuss our placements. So Laos was 4th runner-up, and as I said, I think that the length of the answer and the generic message in itself, I think that really affected the placement. So that's kind of what happened there. Now, I think after that, Venezuela and Philippines, it kind of could have gone either way here. I really also liked Venezuela's answer, but he ended up as 3rd runner-up, and then Philippines ended up as 2nd runner-up. But when I think about both of their overall performances, I do think overall Philippines did bring a lot more energy to the stage than Venezuela, especially during the confidence round. There was a big difference there in their performances. And then we have Netherlands. So during my live commentary for QBN with Lewis, we were both talking about Netherlands a lot throughout the competition because we really noticed him at the Supranational competition and then at the preliminary competition. And even though not everybody was talking about him, we were like, in person, he is doing a phenomenal job. And there is really that difference, I think, in person versus watching online, and that's why I love attending in person so much. It's such a cool experience. And so he was always on our list and somebody that was standing out and was very consistent. So he was 1st runner-up. And then our winner, of course, this year was South Africa. And so there's something really special about South Africa's win because he is actually the first man of color that won the Supra title and an international title in men's pageantry, which is absolutely historic. And the other strange thing about all of this is last time when I went to Mr. and Miss Supranational, Lalela won. So South Africa won for the first time. And then now that I'm here this year, South Africa won for the first time again, but this time for the Mr. competition, and he made history. So that was incredible. And I got to briefly speak to him and take a quick photo with him on the red carpet after, and he was just so kind and so humble and so grateful to everybody and just taking photos with everyone. And then also you can just see when he was on stage when they were announcing the placements, when somebody's sash was falling, he was helping them with it, he was picking it up. He is just like this definition of class throughout the pageant, like the way he carried himself, and I was such a fan. And also he is so fit, oh my goodness. I don't know if you were watching all of the competitions, or I looked at his Instagram, I was like, what percent body fat is that? It's like 0, I don't even know what that is, like 0, 2% body fat. He is so fit. I feel like it's very evident that he put a lot of work into his preparation. He did an excellent job, super consistent throughout, but also as we got towards the end, he was just standing out more and more and more. He was like separating himself from the pack. So congratulations to South Africa. Very, very excited for him, for the country, and really to all these men and their accomplishments, not only on stage, but your personal accomplishments. That's so exciting. And I'm very excited for you. Aside from that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see that live commentary for Mr. and Miss Supranational, as well as more pageants coming up in the future and more coverage of events in beauty, fashion, and pageantry, then don't forget to subscribe to QBN with code Dani25. I hope to see you there as well. Thank you all so much, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you very soon.